Today is 17 June 2025.
Let me ask you something. What if I told you that just 1 hour a day, 60 minutes, could completely change the direction of your life? Would you believe me? Most people won't. Why? Because they've been sold a lie. They think transformation needs a miracle. They think success demands 20-hour days, luck, or a silver spoon. But I'm here to tell you, it doesn't. It starts with 1 hour, just one. 1 hour of intention, 1 hour of discipline, 1 hour where you decide to work on you, instead of watching someone else live their life. See, most people are busy, but very few are growing. They scroll, they rush, they repeat, but they don't stop, and they don't think. And because they don't think, they don't change. But you, if you're still listening, you're different. You're searching, you're ready. And today we're going to talk about the hour that can reshape your habits, your income, your relationships, and yes, even your legacy. Because success is not an accident. It's a daily decision. And the best part, you don't need a new year. You don't need permission. And you don't need a big break. All you need is 1 hour a day. Let's begin. Take back the first hour. Let me tell you something powerful. How you start your day determines how you live your life. It's not just a routine, it's a ritual. And that first hour, that's your window, your launch pad, your foundation. Now most people, they give it away. They wake up and they reach for the phone. They check messages. They check the news. They check what everyone else is doing. But what they don't check is themselves. They don't ask, what do I want today? What do I need to become? What am I building? You see, if you don't program your mind in the first hour, the world will do it for you. And let me warn you, the world doesn't always have your best interests in mind.
Okay, I paid myself first, saving for investing, travel, and learning. Yeah, for financial freedom and my dream.
It'll feed you drama, distraction, noise, and before you know it, you're reacting to life instead of designing it. So here's the challenge. Take back that first hour. Make it yours. Before the emails, before the scrolling, before the chaos. Get up a little earlier, not because it's trendy, but because it's transformational. And use that hour to build you. Read 10 pages of a good book. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Plan your day. Visualize your goals. Move your body. Drink water. Sit in silence. Do what the old you never made time for. Because here's the truth. My friend, if you can win the first hour, you can win the day. And if you win enough days, you win your life. Now I know what some people say, I'm not a morning person. But listen, success doesn't care. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. You think the winners of this world leap out of bed with fireworks and fanfare. No, they decide. They train. They build the habit. And so can you. So starting tomorrow, make a new deal with yourself. Before you touch the world, touch your future. Use that first hour not to consume, but to create. Don't just wake up. Rise up, because your future isn't waiting at 11 a.m. It's waiting at 6. So take it back. Build it strong. And when the day begins, you'll already be ahead, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. You won't just be prepared, you'll be powerful. And that is how the transformation begins. Guard the hour like treasure. Now that you've taken back the first hour, the next step is to guard it like treasure. Because let me tell you, people will try to steal it. Not with a gun, but with a notification, a favor.
Meet Pixelab, an AI that speeds up your workflow. Generate pixel art using a single text.
A meaningless task. A little, hey, can I just... And suddenly, your hour's gone. Vanished. Given away to something that builds their life, not yours. You've got to understand, this hour is not free. It's not casual. It's not for leftovers. It is sacred. It is strategic. And if you don't protect it, no one else will. You see, time is like money, but even more dangerous to lose. You can always earn another dollar, but you'll never get back that hour. So what do? We put up a fence. We say, this is my hour. No calls, no emails, no scrolling, no distractions. Not because we're rude, but because we're serious. You've got to get serious about your hour. Like a builder is serious about his tools. Like a farmer is serious about his soil. Because this hour, if you use it right, will pay you back 100-fold. In clarity, in skill, in results, in income, in confidence. But only if you don't trade it for crumbs. Let me say that again. Don't trade gold for crumbs. That's what people do when they say, I'll just check this one thing. Let me reply real quick. This won't take long. And they end up spending their best hour reacting to the world instead of rebuilding their world. So here's the habit. Every night, schedule your hour. Label it. Set it in stone. No flexibility. No negotiations. Tell your family, your friends, even yourself. This is your time to grow, to think, to create, to build. And if they don't respect it, teach them to. Not with anger, but with consistency. Because when you value your time, people begin to value you. So the rule is simple. If it doesn't grow you, it doesn't get your hour. Period. This isn't just about productivity. It's about priority. It's about saying my future matters enough to defend it. And that first hour, that's your front line. So guard it like it's rare, because it is. It's the hour that separates the average from the excellent, the wanderer from the leader, the talker from the doer. And if you guard it today, you'll celebrate it tomorrow. Direction before action. You know, it's not enough to take the hour, and it's not enough to guard it. You've got to know what to do with it. That's where most people go wrong. They're active, they're busy, they're doing things, lots of things. But the question is, are they doing the right things? Because here's the truth. Action without direction is a recipe for frustration. It's like being on a treadmill, sweating, grinding, running, but going nowhere. So before you jump into your hour, before you dive into books, before you start building, before you hit play on a video, ask yourself a very powerful question. Where am I going? That question unlocks everything. Because if you don't have direction, you won't have progress. You'll move, but you won't arrive. Direction is the compass. Action is the engine, and you need both. So let's get practical. At the start of your hour, take 3 minutes, just 3 to get clear. Ask yourself, what's my goal? What's the skill I'm building? What am I trying to improve today? And most important, why does it matter to me? Write it down. Don't keep it in your head. Get it on paper. Because clarity on paper becomes focus in action. Jim Rohn used to say, reasons come first, answers come second. You've got to know your reason, because when you do, the rest becomes obvious. Now let me give you a warning. If you skip this step, if you jump straight to action without intention, you'll waste the most precious resource you've got, your focus. And here's what's worse. You'll confuse movement with meaning. You'll feel productive, but you'll stay stuck. That's why direction matters more than speed, because it doesn't matter how fast you're going if you're going the wrong way. So take the time to aim. Take the time to ask. Take the time to align your actions with your outcomes. Because a man with direction, he walks slower, but he gets further. So tomorrow morning when your hour begins, don't just start doing. Start deciding. Decide who you want to become. Decide what matters most. Decide what step brings you closer to the life you've been dreaming of. Because direction turns your hour into a mission. And when you live with mission, you start walking a whole new path. And that path, clear, focused, intentional, is the one that leads to change. Learn for an hour, grow for a lifetime. If there's one thing I've learned in life, it's this. Success doesn't just come from doing. It comes from learning what to do. And the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. Now here's the good news. Learning is simple. It's not about going back to school. It's not about expensive programs. It's about setting aside just one focused hour a day to feed your mind. That hour, that's your edge. That's your secret weapon. Because when most people are watching nonsense, you're watching growth. When they're drifting, you're developing. And over time, day by day, that learning starts to separate you from the crowd. Jim Rohn said it best. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. So what do you learn during that hour? You read books. You listen to mentors. You study success. You pick up biographies, personal development, communication, health, wealth, mindset, the stuff that moves the needle. Because the more you learn, the more you see. And the more you see, the better choices you make. Now let me be clear. This isn't passive. You're not just scrolling quotes and hoping something sticks. You're intentional. You pick up the book, the course, the notebook on purpose. And you say, this is my growth hour. And let me tell you, an hour a day adds up. In 1 year, that's 365 hours. That's more than 9 full-time work weeks invested in your own mind. You do that for a year, and you won't even recognize yourself. Your language improves. Your confidence rises. You speak with clarity. You think sharper. You solve problems that used to stop you cold. Why? Because you've been stacking wisdom, bit by bit, page by page, lesson by lesson. And the best part, nobody can take it away from you. Skills can be learned. Confidence can be built. Knowledge multiplies. And it all begins with that one quiet hour. So here's your next step. Pick your materials before your hour begins. Don't leave it to chance. Stack 3 books on your desk. Queue up the podcast. Open the course you've been putting off. And when that hour starts, go in deep. Because every time you open your mind, you expand your future. And the man or woman who learns daily earns continually. So don't skip this. Don't rush this. Make learning a habit, and you'll make success a lifestyle. 1 hour of practice beats 10 hours of theory. Let's get something straight. Learning is powerful, but learning without doing is just entertainment. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every podcast. But if you never apply what you've learned, you're not growing. You're just collecting. See, success doesn't come from what you know. It comes from what you practice. Let me repeat that. 1 hour of practice beats 10 hours of theory. Why? Because action is where skill is born. You don't become a speaker by reading about speaking. You don't become fit by studying exercise routines. You don't master anything by sitting on the sidelines. You've got to step into the arena. Now here's the mistake most people make. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they're confident. They wait until it's perfect. But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. Every time you practice, you get sharper. Every time you try, you get better. Every time you show up, you grow up. So what does this mean for your hour? It means that at least part of that hour should be hands-on. If you're learning to write, write something. If you're learning to speak, practice out loud. If you're learning business, build the plan, make the pitch, take the call. If you're learning design, open the software and create. No more waiting. No more prepping. Just doing. Because repetition is the mother of all skill. Not perfection. Repetition. You don't have to get it right the first time. You just have to get it going. And then you refine it, improve it, polish it. That's how professionals are made. And here's something else. When you practice daily, your progress becomes visible. You can feel it. You can measure it. You start to trust yourself. And that trust, that's the real win. Because a person who trusts their own effort becomes unstoppable. So here's the challenge. Take what you learned yesterday and apply it today. Even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it's awkward, just start. Because doing turns knowledge into power. And 1 hour of bold, focused, imperfect action can do more for your life than a lifetime of thinking about it. Reflect, refine, repeat. You know, life doesn't improve just because you keep moving forward. It improves when you stop and look back with purpose. Too many people go from one day to the next, one task to the next, one goal to the next, without ever asking the most important question, how did I do today? That's where the growth lives. Not just in the doing, but in the reviewing. Jim Rohn used to say, a life worth living is a life worth recording. And I'll add this, a life worth recording is a life that keeps improving. Now let's break this down. Books on your desk. Cue up the podcast. Open the course you've been putting off. And when that hour starts, go in deep. Because every time you open your mind, you expand your future. And the man or woman who learns daily, earns continually. So don't skip this. Don't rush this. Make learning a habit, and you'll make success a lifestyle. 1 hour of practice beats 10 hours of theory. Let's get something straight. Learning is powerful, but learning without doing is just entertainment. You can read every book, watch every video, listen to every podcast. But if you never apply what you've learned, you're not growing. You're just collecting. See, success doesn't come from what you know. It comes from what you practice. Let me repeat that. 1 hour of practice beats 10 hours of theory. Why? Because action is where skill is born. You don't become a speaker by reading about speaking. You don't become fit by studying exercise routines. You don't master anything by sitting on the sidelines. You've got to step into the arena. Now here's the mistake most people make. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they're confident. They wait until it's perfect. But here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. Every time you practice, you get sharper. Every time you try, you get better. Every time you show up, you grow up. So what does this mean for your hour? It means that at least part of that hour should be hands-on. If you're learning to write, write something. If you're learning to speak, practice out loud. If you're learning business, build the plan, make the pitch, take the call. If you're learning design, open the software and create. No more waiting. No more prepping. Just doing. Because repetition is the mother of all skill. Not perfection. Repetition. You don't have to get it right the first time. You just have to get it going. And then you refine it, improve it, polish it. That's how professionals are made. And here's something else. When you practice daily, your progress becomes visible. You can feel it. You can measure it. You start to trust yourself. And that trust, that's the real win. Because a person who trusts their own effort becomes unstoppable. So here's the challenge. Take what you learned yesterday and apply it today. Even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it's awkward, just start. Because doing turns knowledge into power. And 1 hour of bold, focused, imperfect action can do more for your life than a lifetime of thinking about it. Reflect, refine, repeat. You know, life doesn't improve just because you keep moving forward. It improves when you stop and look back with purpose. Too many people go from one day to the next, one task to the next, one goal to the next, without ever asking the most important question, how did I do today? That's where the growth lives. Not just in the doing, but in the reviewing. Jim Rohn used to say, a life worth living is a life worth recording. And I'll add this, a life worth recording is a life that keeps improving. Now let's break this down. At the end of your hour, not the beginning, not later, not tomorrow, but at the end of your hour, take 5 minutes to reflect. What did you learn? What did you accomplish? What did you struggle with? What will you do better tomorrow? It's not complicated. It's just honest. And most people won't do it. Why? Because it forces them to face their own patterns. It reveals whether they're moving forward or just spinning in place. But here's the power. Reflection creates clarity. Clarity creates improvement, and improvement creates results. Now, once you've reflected, don't stop there. Next step, refine. What can be tightened? What can be removed? What can be added, improved, upgraded, simplified? You don't need to overhaul your life every week. You just need to tweak the process, little by little, because excellence isn't a giant leap. It's a series of small, intelligent corrections over time. Think of it like this. Airplanes are off course 90% of the time, but they constantly adjust. And guess what? They still land exactly where they're supposed to. Why? Because they reflect, refine, and repeat. And that's your formula now. Every hour you invest in yourself, reflect on it, refine it, repeat it tomorrow, just a little better. Do that for a week, you'll notice a shift. Do that for a month, people will notice. Do it for a year, your life will never be the same. Because those who learn from experience grow slow. But those who learn from evaluated experience, they grow fast, they grow strong, they grow wise. So don't just live your life, examine it, shape it, elevate it, reflect, refine, repeat. That's how you go from ordinary to exceptional. 1 hour of health a day keeps the doctor away. Let me tell you something that most people forget. Your body is not just a vehicle. It's the engine of your life. And if the engine fails, it doesn't matter how big your dreams are. It doesn't matter how clear your goals are. It doesn't even matter how much money's in your account. Because when health breaks down, everything slows down. You see, the body and the mind are connected. You can't think straight when you're tired. You can't lead when you're weak. You can't build when you're burnt out. So what do? We invest 1 hour a day in the most important machine you'll ever own, your body. Now listen, I'm not saying you need to be a bodybuilder. I'm not saying you need to run marathons. But I am saying you need to move. You need to breathe. You need to stretch. You need to sweat. Because when you honor your health, you elevate your energy. And when your energy goes up, your results go up with it. Let me say that again. Energy is the fuel for achievement. Want more focus? Move. Want more drive? Sweat. Want more peace? Breathe deeply. And the best part, it doesn't take all day. 1 focused hour. That's it. Walk in the morning. Stretch your body. Do some yoga. Lift some weights. Or simply step outside and get the sun on your face and the air in your lungs. Because here's a Jim Rohn truth. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Now let me give you a warning. Neglect is quiet at first. A few skipped workouts. A few too many processed meals. A few extra hours sitting in that chair. And suddenly, the body starts breaking down. Not all at once, but slowly, silently, until one day the price shows up. In the doctor's bill, in the energy crash, in the missed opportunity you weren't strong enough to grab. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. So take the hour. Protect the hour. Use it to build your strength, not just your skills. Because you can't give your best if you're running on empty. You can't lead others if you can't even lift yourself. And you can't live your purpose if you're constantly managing pain. So starting today, treat your health like your future depends on it. Because it does. 1 hour a day, to walk, to stretch, to fuel, to rest, to keep the doctor away, and success close by. Build a fortune in the quiet hour. Let me tell you something important. Profits are better than wages. Wages make you a living, but profits, they make you a fortune. And to build profits, you don't need 10 hours a day. You don't need a team. You don't even need permission. You need 1 hour, 1 quiet hour. Now most people get home from work and they shut down. They say, I've done enough. So they sit, scroll, watch, and wonder why nothing changes. But that quiet hour right before bed, right after dinner, that's your chance. It's your space to build something that's yours. Not for your boss, not for your paycheck, but for your future. In that hour, you can start your side business. You can learn a new skill. You can write. You can plan. You can sell. You can build. You don't need a fancy office. You don't need a perfect setup. You just need a little hunger and 1 hour that you don't give to the world. Now let me be honest. The results won't come in a day, but that's not the goal. The goal is momentum. 1 hour a day, 5 hours a week, 260 hours a year. That's not small. That's massive. That's a product launched. That's a brand started. That's a future created. But only if you treat the hour like treasure. not as time to waste, but time to build. You don't build wealth with wishes. You build it with work. Quiet, focused, consistent work when no one's watching. And here's the best part. If you do that long enough, one day you'll look up and realize something. That little hour built your confidence, built your income, built your independence. And it started when you made one simple decision to stop wasting the quiet hour and start using it to build your fortune. Relationships built 1 hour at a time. Now let's talk about something most success books leave out. Relationships. Because what good is a fortune? What good is a strong body, a sharp mind, a big bank account, if you don't have people to share it with? Success without connection is empty. You don't build a good life just by building businesses or habits. You build a good life by building people. And that takes time. That takes care. That takes presence. But here's the good news. Just like you grow wealth with 1 quiet hour, you grow relationships the same way. 1 hour at a time. 1 hour of real conversation. 1 hour of listening, not just hearing. 1 hour of putting the phone down and looking someone in the eyes. You see, people don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And they feel it when you give them time. Now, I'm not asking for 10 hours a week. I'm not asking you to become a therapist. All I'm saying is, give someone in your life your full attention for just 1 hour. Your spouse, your child, your parent, your mentor, your friend. And don't just sit in the same room. Be there. Ask questions. Share stories. Laugh a little. Or just sit together and be quiet. Because presence is powerful. Let me tell you what happens when you do this. Trust starts to grow. Walls begin to fall. Love multiplies. And connection deepens. It doesn't take a fancy dinner or a big trip. It takes 1 hour of your heart with no distractions. And I'll say this, the people who know how to build great relationships, they always win in the long run. Because in the storms of life, and they will come, money won't hold your hand. Success won't hug you, but relationships will. So schedule that hour. Make it intentional. Because if you don't invest in people, you'll wake up one day surrounded by things, but feeling completely alone. And here's the truth. A rich life is measured in memories, not just milestones. And memories are made in moments. Moments like this. Moments that begin with just 1 hour. So the next time you think about success, remember this. Don't just build your future. Build your people. And do it 1 hour at a time. Stack your hours. Stack your future. You've heard it before. Success is built 1 step at a time. Well, I'll say it a little differently. Success is built 1 hour at a time. 1 hour of discipline. 1 hour of learning. 1 hour of building. 1 hour of investing in your mind, your body, your future. Now, here's the problem. Most people underestimate what 1 hour a day can do. They say, it's just an hour. What difference does it make? Let me show you the math. 1 hour a day, that's 7 hours a week. That's over 300 hours a year. That's more than 7 full-time work weeks. Now ask yourself, what could you do with 7 full-time weeks, focused only on growth? You could write a book, learn a high-value skill, build a business, change your health, master your mindset, or even rebuild your life. But you don't do it in a rush. You do it by stacking the hours, one on top of another, each one building on the last, brick by brick, quiet, steady, strong. That's how a future is built, not in a burst of energy, but in consistent. Effort. Now here's the secret.
ควันมันน่าจะไปทางโน้นเนาะควันรถน่าจะไปทางโน้น เมื่อกี้น้ำมัน6ใส่ขาแสบเลยน่าจะ6ประมาณ20 บาทแล้ว ไปเอารถเข็นเก็บเข้าโกดังอะยกใส่น้ำมันขึ้นเนี่ยเตรียมกุญแจกับ
พริกนะโค้ก
เธอขอถุงนะเธอจะมาใส่เงินในเครื่องที่เอามาจากบ้านนัว
Small disciplines don't stay small. They expand. They multiply. They shape who you become. Every time you show up for that hour, you're casting a vote for your future. You're saying, I'm not wasting my life. I'm not waiting on luck. I'm building something that matters. And that decision made daily creates momentum. It creates confidence. It creates results. Because when you add up the hours, you add up the progress. And when you add up the progress, you start changing your identity. You go from someone who waits to someone who builds. Now listen, there will be days you miss it. That's okay. You're human. But don't let a missed hour turn into a missed week or a missed year. Always come back. Get back to stacking. Because time is passing either way. And one day, the question won't be, did you dream big? It'll be, did you use your hours wisely? So stack them, protect them. And one day, you'll look up and realize you didn't just change your habits. You changed your life. When 1 hour turns into a new you, you started with just 1 hour. 1 hour of learning, 1 hour of building, 1 hour of reflecting, 1 hour for your health, 1 hour for your future. At first it felt small, almost invisible, like nothing was happening. But day by day, hour by hour, something was happening. You were becoming someone new, not overnight, not by accident, but by decision. Because here's a truth you can count on. You don't change your life in one leap. You change your life one consistent hour at a time. The hour you showed up when it wasn't easy. The hour you chose growth over comfort. The hour you practiced instead of postponed. The hour you listened, loved, focused, created. And those hours, they did something powerful. They rewired your mind. They reshaped your habits. They rebuilt your confidence. 1 hour at a time, you started to believe in yourself again. You began to trust your word. You proved to yourself that discipline isn't just a word. It's a lifestyle. And the best part, you didn't need to change everything. You just needed to change one thing. How you use your time. That was the turning point. Because if you can control 1 hour, you can eventually control your day. And if you can control your day, you can shape your future. So here's what I want you to remember. Success is not luck. It's not mystery. It's not magic. It's discipline, applied daily. And that discipline doesn't take everything you've got. It just takes 1 hour, every day, without feel, without excuses. And one day you'll look in the mirror and realize you didn't just change your schedule. You changed your identity. You became the kind of person who shows up, who follows through, who lives intentionally, who walks in purpose, who builds with wisdom. And that is the new you. All from 1 hour. So keep it up. Stay consistent. Protect the hour. Respect the process. Because it's not just how you spend your time. It's how you shape your life. Start today, not tomorrow. Now you've heard it all. The habits, the hour, the truth. So what's next? I'll tell you. Start today, not tomorrow. Because tomorrow is a promise. Today is a decision. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the right mood. Don't wait for the new year or Monday or some perfect moment that never shows up. Just start. Pick 1 hour. Claim it. Schedule it. Protect it like your future depends on it. Because it does. You don't have to be great. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing. Willing to show up. Remember this. Change doesn't happen when you know what to do. Change happens when you do what you know. You've got the map now. You've got the steps. You've got the power. So don't walk away from this video just feeling inspired. Walk away activated. Decide right now. Today, what hour will you take back? What will you build? Who will you become? Because if you give 1 hour a day to growth, to purpose, to vision, to health, to people, to your future, 1 year from now, you'll be living a life you once only imagined. So start today. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. 1 hour, one decision, one new you. Let that be your story. The moment you realize you're no longer who you want to be, that's the moment your real life begins. Not the one that was handed to you, not the one you settled for, but the one you decide to build with your own hands. That moment is quiet. Nobody claps for it. Nobody sees it coming. It doesn't happen with a loud announcement. or a grand ceremony. It begins in silence, in stillness, in the private corners of your mind, where the truth lives. And the truth is you're tired of living a life that doesn't feel like yours. That's the first spark, the flicker of awareness that something has to change. And not just the surface things, not just your job, your clothes, your friends, you, the person inside, the thoughts you think, the choices you make, the energy you carry. That version of you that's been shaped by fear, comfort, expectations, and routine. That version has to go. Not because you hate yourself, but because you've outgrown the lies that kept you small. You don't need permission to disappear. You don't need applause to walk away. You need clarity. You need conviction. You need the courage to choose the unknown over the familiar. And you need to understand something most people never do. Disappearing doesn't mean running away. It means returning to yourself, cutting the noise, turning off the distractions, walking into the quiet so you can finally hear what your soul has been trying to say. People talk about reinvention like it's a new haircut or a career switch. That's not reinvention. Reinvention is deep. It's internal. It's painful and necessary. It's when you break the habits that broke you. It's when you start telling the truth, even when it costs you. It's when you stop asking who will approve and start asking what will align. Reinvention means burning your comfort zone to the ground and building something stronger on the ashes of who you used to be. It begins with mindset. Everything begins there. The world outside you won't change until the world inside you shifts. Your results follow your decisions, and your decisions follow your thinking. So the first battle is always in your thoughts. You've been conditioned to think small, to expect less, to fear judgment, and it's no accident. The systems around you profit from your hesitation. But the second you start believing you can change everything, you will. And it won't be magic. It'll be strategy. It'll be effort. It'll be discipline. But it starts the day you say, I'm done waiting for a life I want. I'll create it. You need to clear the mental fog. All those years of doing what you thought you were supposed to. All those patterns that numb you. All that noise that kept you distracted. Let it go. Let the false narratives collapse. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not anyone's expectations. You are potential, waiting to be shaped by courage. But that potential doesn't grow in chaos. It grows in clarity. And clarity comes from belief. You have to believe you're worthy of a new life before you build it. Not later, not after the success. Right now, because your actions will never rise above your beliefs. If you think you're stuck, you won't move. If you think you're broken, you won't heal. If you think you're not ready, you'll keep waiting. Reinvention demands you drop every belief that keeps you trapped. You replace them with truth. You remind yourself daily that you are capable. You remind yourself hourly that change is possible. You remind yourself moment by moment that you're building something real. And to build something real, you need vision. You need to see it before anyone else does. You need to close your eyes and picture the version of you that doesn't apologize for existing. That doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. That doesn't wake up dreading the day. See that version of you. Listen to how they speak. Watch how they move. Feel how they carry themselves. Now work backwards. What would they do today? How would they act in this moment? That's your blueprint. Most people wait for life to force change on them. They wait for the breakdown, the heartbreak, the failure. But you don't need to hit rock bottom to rise. You just need to decide. Decide that your life is worth more than comfort. Decide that your future deserves effort. Decide that you will no longer abandon yourself for the approval of people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Because this time when you disappear, it won't be out of fear. It'll be out of intention. You'll disappear from distraction, from noise, from lies, and you'll reappear as someone unrecognizable to your past. Purpose will guide you now. Not pleasure, not popularity. Purpose. The deep reason for why you wake up, for why you grind. For why you grind. For why you grind. You don't need 10 reasons. You just need one that matters. One that's bigger than your excuses. One that pulls you forward when your old life tries to drag you back. And you'll know it's real when it scares you a little. Because purpose doesn't coddle, it challenges. It demands you rise. It demands you become more than who you've been. And becoming more means changing what you do every day. It means turning discipline into your foundation. Because without discipline, dreams stay dreams. Without discipline, motivation fades. Without discipline, your old self keeps winning. So you choose structure. You choose habits that fuel your future. You build routines that keep you aligned. And you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't wait to feel like it. You don't argue with the process. You show up. You execute. You follow through. That's how you build a new identity. Not by thinking about it, but by living it. And when doubt creeps in, and it will, you don't panic. You adapt.
Share with us, maybe the last bit of it, very important part. What is the most exciting thing that you feel?
And when doubt creeps in, and it will, you don't panic. You adapt. Because change isn't clean. Reinvention isn't linear. You'll make mistakes. You'll feel lost. You'll question everything. That's part of the path. Don't run from it. Learn from it. Use it. Every setback is data. Every failure is feedback. Every challenge is training. If you're feeling resistance, it means you're moving. If you're feeling fear, it means you're stepping into new territory. That's where growth lives. On the edge. In the stretch. In the discomfort. You become resilient by facing what you used to avoid. By standing up when you want to stay down. By choosing progress when comfort calls. Resilience isn't toughness. It's commitment. It's choosing not to give up on yourself. Not when it's hard. Not when it's lonely. Not when it's slow. You stay in it. You stay focused. You stay loyal to the version of you that you're building. Even when nobody's watching. Especially then. And here's what most won't tell you. This path will get quieter before it gets louder. When you disappear to rebuild, people will talk. They'll ask what happened to you. They'll say you've changed. And you have. That's the point. Let them misunderstand. Let them go. Reinvention is not about keeping everyone comfortable. It's about becoming someone you respect. Someone who honors their own life. Someone who no longer betrays their own soul to fit into small places. And in the silence of this journey, you'll find something priceless. Gratitude. Not just for the wins, but for the process. For the struggle. For the chance to start again. You'll thank the past for the lessons. You'll thank the pain for waking you up. You'll thank yourself for not quitting. And that gratitude becomes fuel. It becomes strength. It becomes clarity. Clarity that you're not here to live on autopilot. You're not here to repeat cycles. You're not here to chase validation. You're here to grow, to build, to lead yourself. And that means learning every single day. Learning who you are. Learning what works. Learning what doesn't. Reading. Listening. Observing. Practicing. You keep expanding. You stay curious. You stay humble. Because a mind that's growing never goes back to sleep. And the world around you might not understand this new you. That's okay. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be real. To be free. To be disciplined. And when the results show up, and they will, they won't be from luck. They'll be from the days you disappeared. The days you chose growth over comfort. The days you reinvented yourself one quiet decision at a time. You will look back on this season of silence, and it will make sense. Every quiet morning you spent working on yourself. Every time you said no to the old life. Every step forward that nobody saw. It will all add up to something undeniable. Not just success in the way most people define it, but something deeper. Integrity, power, peace. Those things aren't loud. They don't need to be. They live in your character, in your consistency, in your presence. And when you have those, you don't need to prove anything. Because here's the truth. Real transformation doesn't need a stage. It needs patience. It needs space. You won't become who you're meant to be while surrounded by voices that keep you average. That's why disappearing is necessary. You have to pull away from the familiar long enough to create something unfamiliar. And when you return, you won't explain yourself. You'll show them, not with words, but with how you live, how you move, how you handle every challenge that comes. Reinvention doesn't come from shouting your intentions. It comes from quiet execution, from making choices that align with your future instead of your past, from holding yourself to a higher standard when no one else does. It's in the little things. The early mornings, the late nights, the inner conversations you win, the moments you choose discipline over escape, the times you tell yourself, I'm not going back, not for anything. You don't reinvent yourself for attention. You do it because your life depends on it. Because somewhere deep inside, you know you were made for more than scrolling, complaining, waiting, and explaining. You were made to build, to shape, to lead, to rise. And that rising doesn't begin when life gets easier. It begins when you get stronger. When you start showing up without needing external motivation. When your hunger becomes greater than your fear. When your commitment outlasts your emotions. Some people will try to remind you of who you used to be. That's okay. Let them talk. Let them stay behind. You're not obligated to explain your growth to people who refuse to grow. You're not responsible for making your transformation palatable to those still living small. Reinvention is for you, not for their approval, not for their comfort, for your life, for your future, for your peace of mind. And when you're building this new version of you, you don't wait for the big breakthrough. You focus on consistency. You focus on becoming reliable in your own life. You build habits that make you trust yourself. You stop saying someday and start saying now. You stop saying I wish and start saying I will. That's how change begins. Not with a massive leap, with small daily actions that compound into transformation. There will be days you want to quit. Don't. There will be days it feels like nothing's changing. Keep going, because this process is slow. And slow doesn't mean failing. Slow means real. Fast change is surface level. It's temporary, but real change, lasting change, requires time, effort, and repetition. That's the price. But the reward is that you become unshakable. You become someone who doesn't need circumstances to be perfect. You just need a reason and a plan. You take action even when it's hard. Especially then, that's how you build the new you. Not by waiting for perfect motivation, but by becoming the kind of person who follows through, who shows up, who finishes. That builds something inside you that can't be faked. That quiet power that comes from knowing you
อะไรนะ มีอยู่นะไม่เห็นเลยมีไม้กวาดทางมะพร้าวอ่ะไม้กวาดทางมะพร้าวโอเคทางนี้ได้เปล่าอ่ะเฮ้เฮ้ใช้เกิดประโยชน์เธอล็อกประตูนี้เอาใช่ไหมเธอเครื่องนี้เปิดบอร์ดไม่ได้มันติดไอ้นี่น็อตทำไงดีนะไอ้8 หาก็ไม่ได้เดี๋ยวมันหมุนตาม
Didn't quit when it got hard. That strength that doesn't need to be loud. That confidence that comes from experience, not ego. And in the middle of all this change, you have to protect your energy. Because the old life will call you back. Old habits, old people, old distractions. They don't leave quietly. They'll try to convince you that you're missing out. That you're changing too much. That you're being selfish. Ignore that. Protect your peace. Like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't owe your past a single thing. You don't owe explanations to those who aren't growing. You owe it to your future self to stay focused. And when things start working, and they will, you stay grounded. You don't chase validation. You chase alignment. You don't look back to impress anyone. You keep your eyes forward because the goal was never to be seen. The goal was to be real, to feel strong again, to feel proud of who you are and how you live. That's the real reward. Not applause, not attention. Integrity, strength, self-respect. That's what reinvention gives you. And all of that, every piece of it, comes down to choices. Not feelings, not luck, not timing. Choices. What you say yes to, what you say no to, what you allow, what you tolerate. Who you become isn't decided by fate. It's decided by what you do next, and next, and next. That's the power you've always had, and now you're using it. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need to have all the answers. You need to take the next step. You don't need to know what the future holds. You need to know who you are. And when you know that, when you live by that, everything else falls into place. Because life rewards the bold. Life respects the disciplined. Life opens up for the focused. And the people who disappear to reinvent, they don't come back the same. They come back ready. They come back powerful. They come back with nothing to prove and everything to offer. And that's who you're becoming. They come back with eyes that see through distraction. They come back with a mind trained to focus. They come back with a soul that no longer needs to explain itself because they've done the inner work, quietly, consistently, without the applause, without the audience. And that silence, it was their foundation. That solitude, it became their strength. Reinvention isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting what no longer fits. It's the decision to let go of the version of yourself that...
ฮะใช้ไขควงก็ไม่ได้ใช้เบอร์8ก็ไม่ได้ มันหมุนตาม เฮ้ยมันเริ่มได้อะไปขยับน่าจะได้ขึ้นมาหน่อยอะได้ขึ้นมาแล้วเว้ยดีนะขยับน็อตขึ้นมาแล้วเว้ยไขตอนแรกไม่ได้ต้องแทบจะดึงออกมาเย้ออกกันเถอะผมขอให้กว่าจะออกทำจนได้
was built for survival, not for greatness. And when you finally decide to disappear from the noise, when you stop seeking to be seen and start choosing to become, everything shifts. Your priorities change. Your energy shifts. You stop needing to be understood. You start needing to be aligned. You stop explaining your dreams to people who laugh. And you start showing up like they're already real, because they are. And the only thing standing between you and them is your discipline to keep building. Even when nobody claps, you realize you don't need to chase. You need to attract. And attraction starts with clarity. When you're clear about who you are and where you're going, you stop chasing things that don't match that vision. That clarity changes how you speak, how you move, how you decide. You no longer say yes out of fear. You no longer stay out of guilt. You make decisions that protect your direction. And that's when real transformation begins. Because reinvention isn't a single moment. It's a series of quiet wins. Days when you didn't feel like it, but you still showed up. Days when no one noticed, but you still grew. Days when the old habits pulled at you, but you chose better. It's slow, it's unglamorous, but it works, and it sticks. Because you're not just changing your life, you're changing your identity. You're becoming the kind of person who does the hard things, the necessary things, the uncommon things. And that's what separates you. Not talent, not luck, not looks, not background. Consistency, intentionality, focus. That's how you disappear and rebuild. You stop living on autopilot and start living with design. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. Every morning you get up early, you're voting for the new you. Every workout you complete, every task you finish, every toxic voice you block out. It's all casting a vote for the life you're creating. And yes, it's hard. It's supposed to be. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. That discomfort you feel, it means you're moving in the right direction. It means you're stretching. It means the old life is trying to pull you back, but you're too far gone, too focused, too committed. So you lean in, you embrace the process, you keep showing up, and soon, you stop craving shortcuts. You stop needing hacks, because you realize nothing replaces discipline. Nothing replaces hard work. Nothing replaces the power of a human being fully locked in on who they want to become. That's what this world respects. That's what opens doors. That's what creates freedom. A disciplined mind, a focused heart, a clear purpose. You become your own standard. You stop comparing. You stop scrolling to see how far behind you are. Because you know who you are. You know where you're going. You know what it takes. And when you have that kind of clarity, distractions lose their grip. Doubt loses its voice. Fear loses its power. Because your decisions aren't based on how you feel. They're based on who you're becoming. You choose the hard path, not because you love pain, but because you love progress. And progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it looks like failure. Sometimes it feels like isolation. Sometimes it sounds like silence. But if you stay in it, if you stay consistent, it becomes strength. It becomes wisdom. It becomes confidence. That's how you disappear and reinvent. You go within. You face your own patterns. You stop blaming. You stop escaping. You get honest. You get quiet. And you begin again. Not with noise, with action, with effort, with resolve. You build day by day, hour by hour, step by step, until the new version of you is undeniable. And the people who doubted you, they'll see, but by then it won't matter, because you didn't do it for them. You did it for you, for your future, for your legacy. You did it so you could look in the mirror and be proud of what you see. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Because you earned it. Because you built it when no one else would. And now you carry that energy with you. Everywhere you go, people feel it before you speak. They see it in how you carry yourself. They notice it in how you handle setbacks. Because you've changed. You're no longer the person who waits for life to get easier. You're the person who gets stronger. You're no longer the one who needs validation. You validate yourself through your actions, through your progress, through your discipline. That's what reinvention does. It teaches you that self-respect is worth more than recognition. That solitude is not a punishment. It's preparation. That silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. And once you understand that, there's no going back. You can't return to the version of you that tolerated mediocrity, that avoided the mirror, that lived on autopilot. That life no longer fits. That version of you is gone. You've outgrown it. You've evolved. You've stepped into the next chapter. And now every move you make is rooted in intention. Every decision points toward the life you're creating. No more drifting. No more settling. You've taken the wheel. You've made the choice. You've burned the old blueprint and started fresh. And from here, it's not about proving anything. It's about building everything from the ground up, with purpose, with courage, with clarity. That's how you disappear and reinvent yourself completely. You stop waiting for the world to hand you permission. You realize no one's coming to save you. No one's gonna hand you a better life. No one's gonna push you harder than you're willing to push yourself. And that truth doesn't make you bitter. It sets you free. Because now you know the power is in your hands. The power to rise, to change, to break the cycle, to stop making the same tired excuses and start living with a level of accountability that most people avoid their entire lives. You disappear not to escape the world, but to rebuild your relationship with it, to stop being shaped by external noise and start designing your inner world with precision. You stop asking for approval. You stop explaining your dreams. You stop chasing surface level wins because you've traded popularity for purpose. You've chosen the longer path, the path of real substance. And while it's lonelier at times, it's also deeper, richer, more fulfilling than anything you've known. You find your own rhythm. You stop rushing. You stop proving. You stop reacting. You wake up and you work on yourself, on your goals, on your growth. And the world might not clap. It might not even notice. But you will. You'll feel it. The shift, the peace, the strength. And that becomes your fuel. You stop being driven by what you lack and start being driven by what you're building. Because the real you isn't found through applause. The real you is revealed through discipline, through decisions made in private, through moments when no one's watching. But you give your best anyway. That's the foundation of a life that lasts. A life that reflects your deepest values. A life that doesn't need validation to feel whole. You start understanding that self-respect is built through struggle, through keeping promises to yourself, through standing tall when it would be easier to quit. Reinvention demands sacrifice. It asks you to let go of comfort, to release attachments to the old life. Not because the old life was all bad, but because it was small. It was safe. And safe never made you strong. Safe never made you grow. Safe never gave you the life you were meant to live. So you disappear, not as an act of weakness, but as an act of power. You disconnect from what drains you. You pull away from shallow connections. You turn your focus inward, not out of selfishness, but out of necessity. Because you finally understand if you don't protect your energy, someone else will waste it. If you don't define your vision, the world will define it for you. And if you don't discipline your mind, it will become a prison. So you train it every day. You learn how to focus on what matters. You stop feeding distractions. You build habits that reflect the life you say you want. You stop speaking like a victim. You stop acting like time is unlimited. You begin using each day like it counts, because it does. You speak less. You do more. You consume less. You create more. You expect less. You execute more. You realize you don't have time to be average. You don't have the luxury to waste another year living for the weekend. Another year pretending you're okay with less than you're capable of. Another year stuck in loops that keep you small. You're done with that. And this time you mean it. This time it's not just talk. It's action. It's follow through. It's ownership. Because this isn't about changing one thing. It's about changing everything. Your mindset, your choices, your environment, your identity. You reinvent yourself by becoming ruthless about what you allow into your life. You stop being available for gossip, for drama, for cheap dopamine, for people who want the old version of you to stay the same. You're done with that life. You're not going back. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. You'll miss people who weren't meant for your future. You'll miss habits that once numbed the pain. You'll feel the sting of change. But that's the cost of elevation. That's the tax on growth. And it's worth every ounce. Because the person you're becoming, the person you're building, is strong enough to carry it. You'll start to trust yourself again. That's one of the greatest gifts of reinvention. You rebuild your word. You believe what you say. Because you've proven you mean it. You've shown up again and again. Through the boredom. Through the pain. Through the setbacks. You didn't fold. You didn't run. You didn't give in to temporary relief. You stood firm in your direction. And that consistency creates a quiet confidence that no one can take away. You become reliable to yourself. You become your own anchor. You don't panic at every shift in life. You don't collapse under pressure. You face it head on. Not because you like struggle, but because you trust your ability to handle it. You've built that trust through action, through discipline, through honoring your path. And now your life starts to take shape, not by accident, but by design. The people you attract are different. The opportunities you create are different. The way you show up is different, because you are different. You're no longer trying to be everything to everyone. You're focused, aligned, grounded. That kind of energy is rare. It's magnetic, and it starts from within. You've shed the identity built on survival. The version of you that played small to be accepted. That shrunk to fit in. That delayed dreams out of fear. That person served a purpose. But now it's time to evolve. Now it's time to rise into the identity you were born for. The one that leads, that stands tall, that honors the work, that doesn't flinch when tested. Because reinvention isn't about pretending. It's about becoming. It's about cutting through the noise of who you were told to be, so you can become who you truly are. And who you are
Are you ready for XM copy trading? Copy successful traders and earn from the markets, or get copied and make up to 50% profit share from your strategies. It's a win-win for everyone. Sign up for XM copy trading and trade like an expert in no time at all.
โอเค
Is powerful, capable, relentless, but only if you decide to live that truth every day. Only if you commit to the process, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. And now you see it clearly. Reinvention doesn't happen when you wait for the right time. It happens the moment you decide you've had enough of the old life. The moment you stop hoping and start building. The moment you take full ownership. No more blaming, no more hiding, no more drifting. You go all in. You go all in, not with noise, not with announcements, not with a show, but with quiet consistency, with that steady kind of action that stacks up when no one is watching. You stop chasing quick rewards. You stop needing applause. You stop waiting for the perfect condition, because now you know the perfect time is a lie. It's a trap to keep you passive. You make the time perfect by how you use it, so you use it well. You create structure. You build systems. You simplify your life. You focus only on what feeds your growth, and suddenly you see the difference. You feel lighter, clearer, stronger, because you're no longer reacting to life. You're creating it. You're not waking up hoping things go your way. You're waking up and making them go your way. That's the power of decision. That's what it means to reinvent yourself. The noise of the world starts to fade, not because it got quieter, but because your focus got stronger. You're not distracted by opinions. You're not swayed by trends. You're not consumed by things that don't align. You're locked in, and that focus becomes your edge. It becomes your foundation. Because when your mind is clear, your actions are sharp. And when your actions are sharp, your results speak without words. You didn't come this far just to drift. You didn't burn the old version of you just to settle into another soft life. You came to build something real, and that takes time. It takes consistency. It takes sacrifice. But more than anything, it takes truth. You have to be honest about your habits, your choices, your attitude, your effort. You can't fake your way into a life of depth and excellence. You have to earn it. Every single day. You learn to operate without needing to feel motivated. That's the shift. Because motivation is temporary. It's emotional. It rises and falls like the wind. But discipline, that's different. Discipline is built. Discipline is chosen. Discipline stays when the mood leaves. And that's where transformation happens. When you show up tired. When you do it anyway. When you choose growth even when it's boring. Even when it's invisible. Even when it doesn't give you a reward right away. You become your own source of strength. Your own system of accountability. You don't rely on pressure. You don't need someone to push you. You push yourself. Because your standards got higher. Because your vision got clearer. Because your goals mean something now. They're not just things you talk about. They're things you live for. You stopped chasing comfort. Comfort made you soft. It made you settle. It made you second guess your power.
วันนี้ใส่ไม่ได้นอนกลางวันนะเธอ
ทำอะไรแล้วก็ไม่ห่วง
มันไอเช็ดต้องออกมาเพราะว่ารถพี่เอกเขาเหม็นไงตรงนั้นอ่ะก็มาช่วยพ่อยกของมาอยู่ตรงนี้ไม่งั้นเปลี่ยนไอ้นั่นเชื่อไปนานแล้ว อ๋อพอดีเขาไปพอดีหลบควันแป๊บนะแต่ถ้าทำอะไรมันจะไม่ง่วงถ้ากินเสร็จมันจะง่วง
So now you choose discomfort on purpose. You train your body. You train your mind. You lean into hard things because that's where your future lies. You put yourself in uncomfortable positions because that's where the growth is. You don't run from it anymore. You seek it. You stop arguing for your limits. You stop repeating old stories. You stop justifying mediocrity. You break those patterns because they're not yours anymore. They belong to the old version of you. The one who didn't know better. The one who hadn't woken up yet. But you're awake now. You see clearly. And you refuse to go back. The people around you start to notice. Some support you. Some distance themselves. That's okay. Reinvention always creates distance. It separates the committed from the casual. The intentional from the impulsive. You lose some people, but you gain yourself. You gain a life you're proud of. You gain freedom. You gain peace. That's the trade. And it's worth it every time. You become okay with not explaining yourself. You stop trying to be understood by people who refuse to grow. You don't argue with small minds. You don't prove anything to anyone. You don't water yourself down to fit. You elevate. You rise. You lead by example. That's how the reinvented live. Not loudly, but powerfully. Not recklessly, but intentionally. They move like they know where they're going. Because they do. You create your own structure, your own rituals, your own environment that supports your elevation. You cut out what distracts. You distance what drains. You stop being available for anything that doesn't align with the life you're building. It's not about being harsh. It's about being clear, about protecting your direction, about honoring your progress. And when the hard days come, and they will, you don't collapse. You don't retreat. You breathe. You recalibrate. You keep moving. Because this path you're on, it's not temporary.
หยุดสิ่งรบกวนอ่ะเหมือนคนคอมเมนต์ก็เหมือนสิ่งรบกวนไงต้องก็เลยไลฟ์เป็นส่วนตัวซะส่วนใหญ่เวลาทำภารกิจหรือเรียนรู้อาจจะได้มีอันนี้จะได้มีความมุ่งมั่น
It's not a phase. It's who you are now. This level of clarity, of ownership, of drive. It's your new normal. It's your baseline. And you protect it with everything you've got. You've walked through the fire of self-honesty. You've stripped away every excuse. You've stood in front of the mirror and faced your truth. And you chose to rise anyway. That's what reinvention is. It's not just about the results people can see. It's about the standards you hold when no one is around. The moments when it's just you, your thoughts, and the question, am I doing what I said I would do? And your answer more and more is yes. That's the breakthrough. That's the shift. That's when you stop doubting your path. Because now it's not just a wish. It's who you are. It's what you do. It's the new version of you. Built from the ground up. Brick by brick. Decision by decision. You're not who you used to be.
Stop using ChatGPT and Canva like children's toys. Here's how to use them right.
To the people over 40 who don't know how to use AI, tomorrow morning, we're starting the 28-day AI challenge for beginners over 40.
Brick by brick, decision by decision. You're not who you used to be. And that's not something to hide. It's something to honor. You built this person from nothing. Not by pretending, not by faking it, but by doing the work. When it was hard, when it was lonely, when there were no results, you kept showing up. That's the real difference between the dreamers and the doers. The dreamers talk, the doers disappear and go to work. You chose the second path, and now it's starting to show. Not just in what you have, but in how you carry yourself, in how you speak, in what you tolerate. In the way you walk into a room, calm, focused, undistracted, because your mind isn't scattered anymore. You're not chasing approval. You're not desperate to be seen. You know what you're about. You know what you're building, and you know what it takes. That's the strength that reinvention gives you. A quiet confidence, not ego, not arrogance, just the peace of someone who has faced themselves and refused to quit. That kind of person doesn't need to shout. Their results speak loud enough. Their consistency echoes. Their presence changes the room. Not because they're loud, but because they're solid. And it started the moment you walked away from the noise. The moment you stopped needing the world to validate your steps. The moment you realized nothing changes until you do. Not your income, not your habits, not your relationships, not your peace. It all rises and falls based on the level you're willing to operate at. So you leveled up. You changed the standard. You raised the bar. Not once, but daily. That's the secret. Reinvention doesn't happen in one giant move. It happens in the 1,000 little ones. The choices nobody sees. The habits nobody claps for. The discipline that doesn't post well on social media, but builds character behind the scenes. That's what it takes. A willingness to trade comfort for clarity. To let go of what's familiar, so you can grow into what's necessary. Most people won't do it. Most people will choose the known struggle over the unknown opportunity. But not you. You made the hard choice. You burned the script. You rewrote the story. And every day you turn the page. That's the power you have now. You're not trapped by what you used to be. You're free to become what you decide. Not what they expect. Not what they remember. What you choose. And that power, it changes everything. It gives you peace. It gives you freedom. It gives you control. You no longer move through life hoping things will improve. You move through life knowing they will, because you're the one improving. And when things get heavy, because they will, you won't fall back into the old patterns. You've burned the bridge. You don't even think like that anymore. Your first response now isn't to quit. It's to focus. Your instinct isn't to run. It's to breathe, to think, to take control. You've rewired your mind. That's the work most never do. But you did. You broke the cycle. Not just of bad habits, but of small thinking, of playing it safe, of waiting for the perfect moment. Now you create the moment. You build the momentum. You take the steps, no matter how small, no matter how long the path, because you're not in a race with anyone. You're just done living below your potential. That's enough reason to stay disciplined. And look at you now, clear, focused, grounded. You don't even react the same way you used to. You don't let noise pull you off track. You don't get dragged into drama. You don't get baited by distractions. You know where you're going. And when you know that, you become dangerous to anything that tries to pull you back. You're not built like the average anymore. You're built different because you decided to be. Not by talent, not by luck, but by effort, by mindset, by commitment. You went to work on yourself like your life depended on it, because it did. And now you're reaping what you planted. Quietly, consistently, unapologetically. That's what reinvention really looks like. Not a moment, a mindset. Not a big announcement, a long-term decision. You didn't need to disappear from the world. You needed to disappear from your distractions, from your excuses, from your old identity. And in that space, you found something real. You found discipline, direction, drive. And from that, you built something no one can take from you. Inner strength. You wake up different now. You don't dread the day. You don't scroll for answers. You don't wish for a better life. You're building it, piece by piece, habit by habit. And even on the slow days, even when no one notices, you keep stacking wins, quiet ones, powerful ones, the kind that compound over time and turn into transformation. You don't need loud motivation anymore. You've replaced it with clear intention. You've replaced noise with systems. You've replaced procrastination with process. This is how you disappear and reinvent yourself. Not with a dramatic change, but with daily deliberate action. Action with a purpose. Action with a standard. Action with no excuses. You found your rhythm now. It's not a matter of trying harder. It's a matter of knowing what to do and doing it relentlessly. The old you tried to get by. The new you doesn't even question what it takes anymore. It's clear. The tasks that need to be done. The habits that need to be formed. The vision that needs to be followed. There's no more ambiguity. No more wishful thinking. No more searching for answers in the wrong places. You know that the change you're building is not a short-term fix. This is your new life. This is who you are now. And who you are is someone who moves with purpose, moves with clarity, moves with intention. You don't waste time. You don't get distracted by things that don't align with where you're headed. You don't get pulled into unnecessary conversations or arguments. You've outgrown that noise. Your time and energy are precious, and you're investing them only in the things that matter. This is the power of reinvention. It's not a flashy transformation. It's not a one-time dramatic moment. It's the cumulative result of small, everyday actions that add up to something extraordinary. It's the confidence that comes from knowing you're doing the work, no matter who's watching. It's the peace of knowing that your success is a byproduct of the standards you've set, not the approval of others. And as you continue down this path, something incredible happens. People start to notice. They start asking questions. They want to know how you did it, but you're not here to explain yourself. You don't need to. You simply keep doing what you've been doing because you know the secret. Reinvention isn't something you talk about. It's something you live. It's something you demonstrate through your actions, your growth, your consistency. You've become a force in your own life. You've taken full responsibility for the direction you're going. No one else is steering this ship. No one else is deciding how far you go. You're the captain now, and that's a powerful place to be. There's no more waiting for someone to save you. There's no more blaming circumstances, blaming the past, or blaming other people. You've accepted full responsibility for where you are. And because of that, you have full control over where you're going. You stop looking for permission. You stop waiting for approval. You don't need validation from anyone else, because the validation you need comes from within. You no longer seek external praise or recognition. You find it in your progress. You find it in your commitment. You find it in the person you're becoming. That's your reward. That's what drives you. You look at your past now, not with regret, but with gratitude. Gratitude for what it taught you. Gratitude for the lessons that shaped you into who you are today. You don't wish things were different. You don't waste time wondering what could have been. You understand that every step, every decision, every failure, and every success led you here. And this is exactly where you're supposed to be. You don't rush the process anymore. You trust it. You know that reinvention doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in one big leap. It happens one day at a time. And that's okay, because each day is another opportunity to be better than you were yesterday. Each moment is a chance to take another step toward the life you're creating. You've let go of impatience. You've let go of the need for instant results. You understand that real transformation is a long game, and you're in it for the long haul. You don't need things to happen fast. You just need them to happen consistently. You know that every choice you make, every habit you form, every decision to stay disciplined is getting you closer to the person you're meant to be. And this is where your power truly lies, in your commitment to the long-term vision. It's in the ability to see the bigger picture, even when the day-to-day can feel mundane or challenging. It's in the ability to push through the tough moments and stay focused on what matters most. It's in the understanding that this journey you're on is not about getting to a destination. It's about becoming the person who can sustain that destination. You've learned to trust the process. You've learned to believe in yourself. You've learned to believe that you are capable of more than you've ever imagined. And with each passing day, you prove that to yourself, not through grand gestures, but through quiet, determined action. And this is the ultimate truth. Reinvention is a choice. It's a daily choice to become something new. It's a choice to step into the unknown and believe that you have what it takes to build the life you want. It's a choice to stop living for the opinions of others and start living for your own growth. It's a choice to move forward with the confidence that you are creating something real, something lasting. The path may not always be easy, but it's always worth it. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn. Every setback is a lesson. Every failure is a stepping stone, because you know that nothing worth having comes without effort, without struggle, without sacrifice. And you're willing to pay that price. You've disappeared from the version of yourself that was limited by fear, doubt, and insecurity. You've reinvented yourself into someone who takes responsibility, someone who embraces growth, someone who is not afraid to face the hard truths and make the changes necessary to create the life they want. And now you move forward not with hesitation, but with confidence. Not with fear, but with courage. You are unstoppable. You are the architect of your own destiny. And no one can take that away from you. So as you continue on this journey of reinvention, remember this: you are not the person you were yesterday. You are not the person you were a year ago. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. And every step you take, every decision you make, is a step closer to the highest version of yourself. And that version, that's the one who wins. That's the one who leads. That's the one who lives life on their terms. Because they know the most important truth of all. Reinvention isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. You've already begun creating it. It's happening now, not in some distant future, not in some ideal scenario, but right here, right now. Each action you take, each decision you make, is a brushstroke in the masterpiece you're creating. No one can paint it for you. No one can write it for you. This is your story, and you're the author. You hold the pen, and every day you choose how it unfolds. Now you know that the process is the reward. The journey isn't a means to an end. It is the end itself. The pursuit of growth, the constant refinement of your character, the effort to become better than you were yesterday, that is the true reward. All the external victories, all the accolades, all the praise, they are just a reflection of the inner work you've put in. But it's that inner work that has changed you. It's that inner transformation that has made all the difference. You understand now that this reinvention, this shift, is not a destination to arrive at. It's a path to walk every single day. It's a daily commitment to becoming the highest version of yourself. There will always be challenges. There will always be distractions. There will always be moments where the world tries to pull you off track. But you don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up, day after day, step by step. Because as long as you keep moving forward, you're on the right path. And here's the beauty of it. You're not doing it alone. You're part of a bigger movement. A movement of people who are waking up to their potential. A movement of people who are realizing that their future doesn't depend on luck, fate, or circumstances. It depends on them. It depends on the choices they make, the actions they take, the mindset they cultivate. You are part of that movement. And as you walk this path, you inspire others to walk it too. They watch you. They feel your energy. They see your commitment. And it gives them permission to do the same. In a world full of noise, full of distractions, full of people waiting for something to happen to them, you've made a different choice. You've chosen to make it happen for you. You've chosen to stop waiting for the world to change and start changing yourself. That's the most powerful decision you can make. Because when you change, everything changes. Your results change. Your relationships change. Your influence changes. And most importantly, your life changes. The reinvention you've gone through isn't about escaping who you were. It's about becoming who you were always meant to be. It's about shedding the layers that no longer serve you. It's about leaving behind the parts of yourself that kept you small, kept you stuck, kept you complacent. You've stepped into your own power. You've stepped into your own purpose. And now you stand taller. You stand stronger. You stand with the confidence that you can face whatever comes your way. This process of reinvention is not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who want the easy road, the quick fix, the shortcut. No, this path is for the ones who are willing to do the work. It's for the ones who are willing to face their fears, confront their doubts, and walk straight into the unknown. Because that's where the magic happens. That's where the transformation occurs. It's when you step out of your comfort zone and into the discomfort of growth that you find the person you've always been capable of becoming. And here's the truth. You're just getting started. The person you've become is not the final version of yourself. This is just one chapter in a lifelong journey of growth and reinvention. There will be moments of doubt. There will be moments when you question if it's all worth it. But you've already proven to yourself that you have what it takes. You've already shown yourself that you can reinvent yourself time and time again. You've already built the foundation. Now you just keep building, brick by brick, day by day. The key is to keep moving forward. The key is to never stop growing. The key is to never stop striving for more, even when you're faced with setbacks or challenges. Because you understand now that these setbacks aren't roadblocks. They're opportunities. Opportunities to learn. Opportunities to grow. Opportunities to become even stronger. You don't see failure as defeat anymore. You see it as part of the process. You understand that failure is just a stepping stone on the path to success. You've come to realize that reinvention doesn't happen in a vacuum. It doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through your choices. It happens through your mindset. It happens through your actions. And it happens through the people you surround yourself with. The energy you put out into the world attracts the energy you get back. So keep your energy high. Keep your mindset positive. Keep your vision clear. And surround yourself with people who uplift you, challenge you, and push you to be better. Your reinvention has taught you the most valuable lesson of all. The power is in your hands. The power to create the life you want. The power to shape your future. The power to build your success from the ground up. There's no one else who has control over your destiny. It's all in you. Every step you take brings you closer to the person you want to become. Every choice you make shapes your reality. You've done something extraordinary. You've reinvented yourself. You've transformed from someone who was stuck in the past, unsure of who they were or what they wanted, into someone who is clear, confident, and capable. But this is not the end of the journey. It's just the beginning. And as you continue to walk this path of reinvention, remember this: the best is yet to come. You've only just scratched the surface of your potential. So keep going, keep striving, keep evolving. You're on the right track. The world is waiting for what you're going to do next. But more importantly, you're waiting to see who you become next. And you already know the answer. You're becoming the person who has everything it takes to win. The future you're building doesn't just come from dreams or desires. It's coming from the relentless pursuit of your own growth. And that growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you wake up every day and decide without hesitation that you're going to be better than you were yesterday. It happens when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is who I choose to be. This is who I'm becoming. You've created a foundation that is strong, but foundations are meant to be built upon. What you've accomplished is impressive, but it's nothing compared to what you can still achieve. Every day you have an opportunity to push yourself further, to go deeper, to dig harder. There's always a next level. There's always room for more growth. There's always more potential waiting to be unlocked within you. But this is where things get real. The reinvention doesn't happen without sacrifice. You've had to give up parts of yourself that were comfortable. You've had to let go of things you thought you couldn't live without. You've had to break habits, destroy beliefs, and challenge your own limitations. And let's be honest, it hasn't been easy, but you've done it. You've stepped into the unknown. You've stepped into the discomfort. You've faced those moments where your mind told you to quit, but you kept going anyway. Why? Because you're no longer satisfied with the life you were living. You've outgrown your old self, and you know that if you keep clinging to the past, you're only holding yourself back. You've learned that the key to growth isn't staying the same, but constantly pushing forward, even when it feels like the whole world is pushing against you. And this is where your real power lies. It's not in avoiding challenges. It's in confronting them head on, no matter how difficult they may seem. It's in saying, I don't care how hard this is. I don't care how many setbacks I face. I will not back down. That's how you'll keep reinventing yourself. You'll continue to rise time and time again, because every challenge you face only strengthens you. Every obstacle is an opportunity for growth, and every failure, no matter how painful, is just another lesson learned on the path to your success. Reinvention isn't just about becoming a new version of yourself. It's about becoming the most authentic version of yourself. The version of you that was always there, underneath all the layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity. The version of you that is capable of doing incredible things. The version of you that isn't afraid to step into their own power. That version of you is already within you, waiting to be unleashed. And you've already taken the first steps. You've already proven that you can change. You've already proven that you're not bound by your past or your circumstances. You are the author of your story. and the pages ahead are filled with endless possibilities. But don't think for a second that reinvention is a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then check off your list.